Welcome to Peritos Solutions, your trusted cloud and ERP partner.
So the cloud migration modernization strategy is basically how we can help those customers to move those workloads from their on-prem to cloud. So why would someone actually do that? So that's basically, there are obvious benefits. Basically, when you're running your workloads on-prem, you actually have to pay for those managing their infrastructure a lot of time upfront, and then keep investing into it. If you move to the cloud, there's more pay as you go model. So you pay as based on how much you're using. So it reduce the overall spend. There's a direct cost saving to it. Additionally, for on-prem systems, implementing different levels of security, that's almost always really expensive and cumbersome, and you need to have right people to implement that security. When you use some of the AWS services, it is you can have some of those security services created very easily, and you don't have to spend a lot to get that level of security in your cloud infrastructure. Additionally, you get reliability and resiliency. So most of the AWS services comes with resilient architecture out of the box. So you can be ensure nothing is going down. There could be different resilience in there. So your application which are running, it's always there. And then lastly, you can use different AWS partners. There's a complete AWS partner program, which basically validates all the partners. They go through comprehensive training and audit process to achieve different levels of partnership. So if you're working with an AWS partner, you can be ensured they have done their due diligence. They know what they're talking about. These kind of migrations, as I said, there are obvious cost saving and security benefit. The one thing I want to emphasize more is on the feature, how quickly you can roll out new features in the applications. I've seen with the customers, once they moved into cloud, they were really quickly able to roll out new products, new features into their applications. That's because creating that kind of infrastructure in cloud is much easier. It gives more flexibility to developers, to the infra people to roll out things quickly, rather than going through a complete procurement cycle to buy a new server and then set up everything and then not having proper security on it. So that's one of the most important benefit we have seen across. Then basically migration modernization, there's a usually you work on your legacy applications. So there's a process of how you do it, but it basically you do that to free up your resources. You shift your licensing. You can scale the infrastructure and leverage all the different cloud services. So you can use all those different AWS services which are coming in to quickly try different things. Again, that helps in rolling out new features, new product. So I've seen a lot of startups actually start using the cloud infrastructure off the shelf. So instead of setting anything on-prem. One of the other benefit could be if you are concerned about your data issue, data shouldn't move outside of New Zealand. So the New Zealand region in AWS is coming in. It should be live anytime in 2025. They don't give a proper date, but they basically look at a set of services to be available first to make the region live. So this is I basically attended AWS partner event last week where this was one of the biggest announcement. What services are coming in, if you are already aware. So in the initial kind of launch, they are targeting these different 87 services to be available in first 12 months. So any data or any of the infrastructure which is or any services which you want to use, if it's from this list, you can straight away use it from the New Zealand region. Now, for the migration strategy, usually how it works, the organizations who are basically running things on-prem, they would need to basically create a migration, a complete application portfolio. So list down all the applications which are running, build an operating model, which services, which applications you want to pick first, move those across, and then do it repetitively. And you don't really need to do it by yourself. Always good to involve a AWS partner. They can help with everything from aligning different AWS funding program to different frameworks which are available. So when we talk about migration, it doesn't have to be, whatever you're running on-prem, you pick that up and then deploy on a EC2 on AWS. Like, it doesn't have to be like that all the time. There are different levels of migration, which is usually involved. So in AWS term, it is called like 7 hours. So you can basically rehost, pick whatever you're running, move it into AWS. You can relocate. So the services you're running, move those services to AWS. Repurchase, if you already have like a SaaS license, you can have like similar SaaS license in AWS as well. You can retain, like, if something is not required to be moved, or you can retire something which is basically, went out of life, no point of like continuing it. And basically, a part of it comes as like you basically looking into like recreating that application into AWS. And then there are like Replatform and Refactor. So kind of like the same thing in a way. You move a service to AWS, use like some of the AWS services. So for that, you would need to like replatform a few things like database, and then refactor your code so that it is supported, or it is using some of those AWS services. So these are like different like methods for migration. And then this kind of like loops in. So you pick like initial set of like applications first, go through this process, and then continue again on like another set. And as I said, like, it doesn't have to be like all of those. It could be like, 10% of your infrastructure you can retire, 20% you can move to SaaS, 50% you can do lift and shift. So it can be like a combination of different things. Now, as I said, like AWS provide like certain frameworks to do those migrations. This is like one of the framework for creating that portfolio of your services or applications. AWS provide like certain tools which can basically run on-prem to check like, what all different servers, applications, databases, your NAS storage, like different infrastructure which you run. So it can create a complete like portfolio using some of the tools. And then this portfolio then move to, or like ingested into like one of the AWS tool to create like complete migration report, which kind of like looks something like this. So based on the portfolio which is created, it basically suggests like which things you can replatform, which things you can rehost, what would be the costing. So there's a complete like process to it. So assess is basically where you do the initial discovery. Mobilize is when we start moving those different services into AWS. That usually involves like setting up landing zone, which is creating like your baseline infrastructure in AWS, and then start like moving things piece by piece into AWS. That's the migrate and modernize strategy. So some of the challenges and advantages. On-prem, you have like limited scalability. It's high maintenance. Like a usual, what you're running on-prem, you need to have like a service, a team dedicated to like look after the complete infrastructure. You can have that done much easier on the cloud. So all the different services that you get out of the box. I'm just presenting like one of the case studies here, Wine Searcher. We work with them. So they basically started their kind of like cloud migration modernization journey, I think 6 years ago. They moved like a number of services into AWS, but then one other thing which was kind of missed was they moved things, but then the landing zone was missing. So the initial kind of like infrastructure which is needed was not there. So we helped them setting up their landing zone, and then moved like another set of iterations to move another set of services into cloud. And we are still running it. So there's like one assessment we did last month for them to move like another set of like 11 servers into AWS. So it's not like a one-off process, and it's not like, you need to do like really quickly. As you see, like this migration is running for the last 6 years and still going.
Thank you for watching. Get in touch if you're keen to discuss more.